Hello everyone and welcome to this episode of Ignition Time. By now you already know that the powerful Republican congresswoman from Wyoming, Liz Cheney, has been removed from party leadership. She came out against former President Trump as a direct result of the insurrection on the 6th of January. Folks, this is a very divisive time for the Republican Party, and the Republican Party is in many ways capitulating within itself. It's capitulating to former President Trump. This is what Congresswoman Liz Cheney believes. I'm about to show you some important remarks from Congresswoman Liz Cheney 24 hours before she was removed from leadership, and this is very important for us to listen to her and what she's saying and what her position is. So I encourage you to watch this video all the way through to the end. Here are some of the things she said that really jumped out at me. Every one of us who has sworn the oath must act to prevent the unraveling of our democracy. This is not about policy. This is not about partisanship. This is about our duty as Americans. Remaining silent and ignoring the lie emboldens the liar. In fact, what's unusual is that the House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy 4 months ago came out and spoke against former President Trump on the floor of the House of Representatives. Let's roll the tape and hear what the House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy said 4 months ago on the floor of the House, and then we'll take a look at what he just said in response to the removal of the powerful Republican Congresswoman Liz Cheney. I keep saying powerful because even though she was removed from leadership, she does retain a significant amount of popularity in her home state of Wyoming, even though she's not popular within her own party. Such is the turmoil within the Republican Party, and hence the potential capitulation of the Republican Party to a cult of one. Let's roll the tape and hear what Kevin McCarthy said 4 months ago about the blame for the January 6th insurrection. Let's roll the tape and watch.
That doesn't mean the president is free from fault. The president bears responsibility for Wednesday's attack on Congress by mob rioters. He should have immediately denounced the mob when he saw what was unfolding. These facts require immediate action by President Trump. Accept his share of responsibility, quell the brewing unrest, and ensure President-elect Biden is able to successfully begin his term.
So, what did the same person, House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy, say hours after having the Republican Party remove the Republican Congresswoman Liz Cheney from leadership? He said, "I don't think anybody is questioning the legitimacy of the presidential election." Well, that's all the Republicans did before, during, and after the Electoral College certification vote. So that is not quite true. He said, "I don't think anybody is questioning the legitimacy of the presidential election. That's all over with. We are sitting here with the president today." That's what Kevin McCarthy said. Let's roll the tape and hear from him.
Well, first of all, the conference will decide, but I don't think anybody is questioning the legitimacy of the presidential election. I think that is all over with. We're sitting here with the president today. So from that point of view, I don't think that's a problem.
Fill in the gaps for us, because...
So before I show you the blistering attack from Liz Cheney on her own party, let's show you this headline on your screen from the Financial Times. Liz Cheney launches blistering attack on fellow Republicans over former President Trump. The House caucus did indeed vote to remove her from leadership. Here's another headline, this time from the Wall Street Journal. Liz Cheney says in flow speech, Republicans cannot ignore Trump's election lie. And she basically said that, look, we should not feed this lie. She said it was undermining democracy. And the Washington Post wrote this article, Liz Cheney and the sad face of the Republican Party. In fact, let's take a look at a very important floor speech from Liz Cheney on the floor of the House of Representatives, where she outlined her opposition to former President Trump and what the Republican Party should do going forward. Folks, the future of the Republican Party is at stake. I believe that we need a healthy Republican Party. We need a healthy two-party system because a country moves forward when we take the best ideas from both sides. We do not need the Republican Party capitulating to the cult of one. This is what Liz Cheney said. This is about our duty as Americans. Remaining silent and ignoring the lie emboldens the liar. I will not participate in that. Let's take a look at important comments from Liz Cheney. There was only one Republican congressman watching her while she made this speech because all the other Republicans in the House of Representatives walked out. Yep, that's right. Let's roll the tape and hear the lonely speech, the call to action, if you will, from Liz Cheney before she was removed from party leadership on the floor of the House of Representatives. Let's watch.
Thank you very much. I'd like to thank very much my friend, colleague, Mr. Buck, for yielding me time this evening. I know the topic, Mr. Speaker, is cancel culture. I have some thoughts about that. But tonight, I rise to discuss freedom and our constitutional duty to protect it. Mr. Speaker, I have been privileged to see firsthand how powerful and how fragile freedom is. 28 years ago, I stood outside a polling place, a schoolhouse in Western Kenya. Soldiers had chased away people who were lined up to vote. A few hours later, they came streaming back in, risking further attack, undaunted in their determination to exercise their right to vote. In 1992, I sat across a table from a young mayor in Nizhny Novgorod, Russia, and I listened to him talk of his dream of liberating his nation from communism. Years later, for his dedication to the cause of freedom, Boris Nemtsov was assassinated by Vladimir Putin's thugs. In Warsaw in 1990, I listened to a young Polish woman tell me that her greatest fear was that people would forget. They would forget what it was like to live under Soviet domination, that they would forget the price of freedom. 3 men, an immigrant who escaped Castro's totalitarian regime, a young man who grew up behind the Iron Curtain and became his country's Minister of Defense, and a dissident who spent years in the Soviet Gulag, have all told me it was the miracle of America, captured in the words of President Ronald Reagan, that inspired them. And I have seen the power of faith and freedom. I listened to Pope John Paul II speak to thousands in Nairobi in 1985, and 19 years later, I watched that same Pope take my father's hands, look in his eyes, and say, "God bless America." God has blessed America, Mr. Speaker, but our freedom only survives if we protect it, if we honor our oath taken before God in this chamber to support and defend the Constitution, if we recognize threats to freedom when they arise. Today, we face a threat America has never seen before. A former president who provoked a violent attack on this Capitol in an effort to steal the election has resumed his aggressive effort to convince Americans that the election was stolen from him. He risks inciting further violence. Millions of Americans have been misled by the former president. They have heard only his words, but not the truth, as he continues to undermine our democratic process, sowing seeds of doubt about whether democracy really works at all. I am a conservative Republican, and the most conservative of conservative principles is reverence for the rule of law. The Electoral College has voted. More than 60 state and federal courts, including multiple judges the former president appointed, have rejected his claims. The Trump Department of Justice investigated the former president's claims of widespread fraud and found no evidence to support them. The election is over. That is the rule of law. That is our constitutional process. Those who refuse to accept the rulings of our courts are at war with the Constitution. Our duty is clear. Every one of us who has sworn the oath must act to prevent the unraveling of our democracy. This is not about policy. This is not about partisanship. This is about our duty as Americans. Remaining silent and ignoring the lie emboldens the liar. I will not participate in that. I will not sit back and watch in silence while others lead our party down a path that abandons the rule of law and joins the former president's crusade to undermine our democracy. As the party of Reagan, Republicans have championed democracy, won the Cold War, and defeated the Soviet communists. Today, America is on the cusp of another Cold War, this time with communist China. Attacks against our democratic process and the rule of law empower our adversaries and feed communist propaganda that American democracy is a failure. We must speak the truth. Our election was not stolen, and America has not failed. I received a message last week from a Gold Star father who said, "Standing up for the truth honors all who gave all." We must all strive to be worthy of the sacrifice of those who have died for our freedom. They are the patriots Catherine Lee Bates described in the words of America the Beautiful when she wrote, "O beautiful for heroes proved in liberating strife, who more than self their country loved, and mercy more than life." Ultimately, Mr. Speaker, this is at the heart of what our oath requires, that we love our country more, that we love her so much that we will stand above politics to defend her, that we will do everything in our power to protect our Constitution and our freedom that has been paid for by the blood of so many. We must love America so much that we will never yield in her defense. That is our duty.
Now, that was a powerful speech, and Adam Kinzinger, the Republican congressman from Illinois, had something to say about it. A very scathing tweet from the Republican congressman Kinzinger. Let's show you the tweet on your screen. Kevin McCarthy, an employee of Donald Trump, may win tomorrow. He already did because Liz Cheney has been ousted. But history will not be kind. Never has our party gone after its own leadership like this. But Kevin and Steve Scalise made history because Trump has thin skin. I'd be embarrassed if I was them. Folks, a very scathing criticism from Adam Kinzinger and Liz Cheney, both of whom voted to impeach former President Trump. This is pretty incredible. In fact, here's an interesting segment with Adam Kinzinger where he said, and I quote, "Republican leaders have learned that fear and conspiracy theories drive profits and it drives votes. Fear is the most compelling human emotion." Let's roll the tape and hear from Adam Kinzinger.
I was on a phone call with Kevin McCarthy in the Republican conference a couple days prior to January 6th, and I had said on a few media outlets that I was very concerned about violence on the 6th because I looked at Twitter. I saw the threats against me. And I said, Kevin, with all this basically BS we're saying about we can make sure the election isn't certified, it was stolen, et cetera, I go, I really am concerned about violence on January 6th. The response I got was basically that cricket sound and then, "Okay, Adam, operator, next caller."
That's it, everyone. Thank you for watching. Please click the like button. Please subscribe. Please enable notifications. Let me know what you thought of comments from Liz Cheney. There she is, the Republican congressman from Wyoming. And let me know what you thought of comments from Adam Kinzinger, the Republican congressman from Illinois. Pretty incredible what's going on. I believe the capitulation of the Republican Party to a cult of one. Let me know whether you agree or disagree in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you. Please click the like button. Please subscribe. Please enable notifications. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next episode of Ignition Time. Take care. Bye.